Welcome to this week's witnessing tip. I took Gina's job right there.
See you later. I'm out of a job.
No, the reason I started is because I want to ask Gina a question.
Okay.
And the question is, when people ask a Christian, why are they going to heaven? What's the most common response?
Because Jesus died for me.
Because Jesus died for me. Yep,
Yeah.
That's it. And that's a good answer. But it reminds me of something one of my professors, while I was studying for the ministry, told us. He said, technically, when Jesus died for our sins, what he did, he rescued us from hell so we don't have to go to hell because he paid for all of our sins. But he really didn't, by his death, keep all the requirements for us to go to heaven, because going to heaven means not just the absence of sin, but also leading that perfect life. And that's what Jesus did by living for us. You know, Jesus not only died for us, he lived for us. So really, how am I going to heaven? Because Jesus lived for me too. Also, he died, but he also lived for me. You know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's something I don't think I ever really thought a lot about until the last few years as we've been sharing that message.
And it's a message we share quite regularly.
Yeah, and just
right?
that Jesus lived the life that we can't live. It's impossible for us to live. And then he died the death that we deserve.
Right. Because if we don't really emphasize that, unconsciously people might say, well, I might have to do that, right? All right. I like to talk about Jesus giving his life twice for us. You know, he died for us, yes, but man, just think of the sacrifice of living for us, you know, living for us for 33 years, living for people who really probably didn't really appreciate it. I mean, that's a tremendous sacrifice, isn't it?
In a really small way. I mean, it makes me think of a caregiver.
Oh, yeah.
You know, somebody who gives their life to take care of someone else.
Right.
And I know my mom has been in that position at various times for short periods of time. And that's a lot.
Oh, that's a lot
to do.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it would be hard for me to do it for a day or two,
right?
You know,
yeah.
Much less, you know, a month or 33 years, right?
His whole life.
His whole life. And so he did give his life twice for us, you know. He died for our sins, but he also lived that sacrificial life to keep the commandments perfectly for us. So maybe that's a good way to get into a witnessing conversation, asking, you know, how are you going to get to heaven? And even a Mormon probably will say, you know, through Jesus, through his death and stuff. And you can say, well, let's talk about Jesus' life. Really important point.
Yeah, that's a great question to ask. A couple weeks ago we talked about that, asking questions.
Asking questions, right.
The conversation.
Yeah.
One video that really highlights this idea of Jesus giving his life twice is the heart test video. If you look on our Be Ye Perfect YouTube channel.
Right.
That video is one that we've shared across our social media channels to members of the LDS Church, and one that's gotten a lot of conversation.
It really has, right.
Yeah, you shared this one recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I shared it to a college faculty, and they really, that's one of the things they really remarked about, how they loved that video. It's only about a minute and a half or something.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
So we'll link that here so that you can check that out, and then we'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah. Well, have a great week this week. Hope you see opportunities to witness and then make use of those opportunities.
Yeah, that's our prayer for you.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.